Well, I wanted to come on here live because it's been a while since I've done a video, and I thought, what a better way to give you an update than to share with you on a live stream how they're doing. So, normally I don't come into the living room where the computer is and share my worms, but my husband let me do that. And as you can see, that blue orchid in the background, that was from my husband. Um, I got a big birthday coming up, so he surprised me with that blue orchid. Anyway, if you're uh, seeing my live stream, would love to have you make a comment, say hello, and if you're new to worms, um, maybe I can shed a little light on how easy it is to take care of. And if you're a worm farmer yourself, well, you know black gold is the way to go. Um, Hope you can hear me okay. I'm going to share my worms with you now. So I started in September. September 20th is when I started my first worm pen. I started 4 of them. And I shared the one that was in this 3-gallon, which I emptied out the other day. And I went ahead and put them in a different container. I went ahead and put them in a container here so that I can start to remove the worms and start my harvesting. So these the castings still have some carbon in it, and I went ahead and put a layer of bedding on the bottom because uh, whatever is left over, I'll just put it into a new bin. How's everybody doing? Can you hear me okay? Anyway, I'm going to just put my gloves on. And I want to show you one of the worm bins, what it looks like after I took the worms out, how the castings look like. I didn't do anything to them. They haven't been put through a mesh or filtered. Just the worms were removed. Look how beautiful this is. That's how they came out of the bin. Hi, Food Forest Permaculture. Is that you, Howie? Good to see you. I just wanted to share how my worms, my little small worm farm is coming along. And I don't normally show it in the living room, but since I wanted to do a live stream, my husband gave me permission to do so. So I was just showing these worm bins. In this container right here, when I took the worms out of the container, I put them in these little plastic containers, and they work really well for the worms just for the fact that it used to have lettuce or spinach in it. So it's a food container, and they seem to move around really well without a problem. Thank you, Howie. I saw you on this morning making talking and so forth, but I didn't get a chance to come into your live stream and say hi. But I appreciate you coming by to say hello to me. And you're looking really well. Anyway, I started, once I took the worms out of that container, I started a new worm ban. So this worm ban was started in January, around January 20th. And so there's worms in here, and all of this is castings made since January. And the worms are doing really well. Let's see. Nice size there. So thank you. I have a mix of blue worms and red wigglers. This bin right here is my red wiggler bin. The red wigglers make a nice casting as well, but they're a lot slower than the blue worms. And believe it or not, Howie, it only takes about 3 months for me to start getting castings. Actually, in December, I let the worms go a little longer, and that told me that once I put the carbon in, with just a handful, it took about a month for the worms to eat it. And I understand the ecosystem with all the other composting critters, but I just never seem to experience them in my worm bin. This worm bin right here is the red wigglers. Let me get a little closer. And yes, they show off pretty nicely. They're pretty huge. They got a nice size. They have a nice size, but they're very slow. So normally, but they give you a nice casting. And it's just them. They don't have other springtails or mites or anything like that. And like I said, they're a nice size, but they're very slow. And I live in California, so we get a lot of sunshine. I let my worms breathe. They're just like this. And then all I do is I just put a little cardboard over it just like this. And then I take a cover like this and put it over it. I know that they're happy. Thank you. I know that they're happy because if you look around the rim, it's always clean. So this is the red wiggler. I started this on September 20th, and this is the only worm bin I'm going to go ahead and just keep it going. Like all the other worm farmers, they let it go for a long time. I'm going to do that with this worm bin. But with the other worm bins, it's a little harder because they just go at it. Like I said, this is the second worm bin. I removed all the worms from here, and as you can see, it's really nice and moist. I mean, it's nice and fluffy, but I can go like this, and then it's a solid ball. So it's not fine or anything. It hasn't gone through a mesh. It's just natural. No smell other than just Mother Nature's worm castings poop. So this is the worm. This is the new worm bin, and as you can see, it's all nice and clean around. It's got a carbon bottom. I like to line the bottom with cardboard, and they're doing a good job. So this is a live preview of what they look like. Now these are the blue worms, and they're not impressive as far as size goes, but they have a voracious appetite and they love to eat. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead. When I took the worms out of the bin that I showed you that was a completed worm castings, I go ahead and I just stick them in a little container like this. In fact, you don't really have to have a big worm farm. You can have something simple like this. If you know somebody that has maybe 20 worms, that's all you need. The only thing with regards to my worm farm is I like to blend the food up because I don't want to attract all the other decomposers, the springtails, the mites. I don't want to get them into my worm farm because I enjoy my worms. They're like family for me. So, I like to keep it clean, and I want to make sure that I meet their needs to where they don't try to escape or I have a problem, any type of problem. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull all this out. This is a lot of castings that I've received from these worms that are in here for just a short amount of time. Let's see. See, they're all over the place. So I'll just throw all this in because that's bedding and food. And that's a lot accomplished. I know it's kind of hard to see it. But they're going to go in here. Look at that worm casting. It's all about cringiness. Hi. Thank you for coming by. I'm just sharing the worms live for you. And the way that I raise them. You can feed your worms orange peelings if you want. I wouldn't feed my worms orange peelings, and the reason why is because of the acidity. And of course, when you feed them the orange peeling, they're not going to like die right away. But I don't know as far as I'm sure if they go for it, then let them have it. I didn't think that my worms would like sweet potatoes because over the holiday we had a little bit of sweet potato left, and I didn't want to have any kind of mites or anything because that's what I heard about potatoes or starch. But I didn't have any problems with them eating up the sweet potatoes. They fully enjoyed it. In fact, my worm bins look like they're wet, but they're not. They're moist. And the worms seem to enjoy it. They're not dry. In fact, you're going to probably cringe when you see me feed them because I have some food that I'm going to be putting in here for you. But the worms seem to be happy. And they're a nice size. Thank you, Howie, for coming by. God bless you. Stay safe. And we'll see you soon. This is a worm bin that I started also in September 20th. Can you see? I mean, it's pretty moist, but after the worms are totally removed, it just starts to dry up a little bit. So this one, I'm going to go ahead and start removing the worms. There's still worms in here. I don't bait them. I just pull them out. And but in this case, because I still have some of this carbon here, I'm going to put it in an area of the worm bin like this. Well, I'll do it right now because they're probably hungry. But as you can see, it's just the worms. I don't have any other critters in there that I can see other than whatever microorganisms that's in there. But I'm going to go ahead and put some food in there. I'm not going to spread it around just because this casting is almost done. So this will allow the worms to come into that area. And I'll just take a little bit more of whatever the carbon I can find in here real quick and lay it on top of it. But this is what the castings look like. Let's see, September, October, November, December, January, February. So about 5 months. And as you can see, there's still worms in there. So so I have this little section right here. Right there. It has a lot of, I gave them a treat with some applesauce. Well, that's what the rotten apples became after I blended them up. So this one's done. Now on this one here, we have to add the other, this is my new bin that I just started on January 20th. So I'm going to go ahead. I have 2 of these containers that I use to pull the worms out. And so the worms have been in here for almost a month. And that's a lot of castings that have come out of it. That's the worms. So we'll just go ahead and take them, dump them in. Get all of them out. This container right here, they don't seem to have a problem. And I think it's just because it's food safe. So this is the new worm bin. I'm going to go ahead and put some apple sauce in there for them as well. So I'm going to take all of these pieces of napkin, and I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm going to just let them enjoy that. I'll take all that carbon, all this carbon here, throw it over there. And what's nice about this is you'll see that as long as I don't bother the worms by moving everything around after I've put the food down, then they'll be fine. And we'll take a little peek in and see. We have to. Now this one is moist, and this one is the one that was in the 3-gallon. So I won't be giving it any food. It's fine. It's the right moisture level, and we'll just start removing the worms. I put carbon on the bottom. Not a problem. Like I said, that once I remove all the worms from here, I'll just take that carbon and reuse it in another worm bed. So this one's done. And I'll show you something at the end what I do with them. And now we're just going to feed the red wigglers. I'm just going to get some more of this, put it over here. Give them some food. Just like that. And we'll come back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the container. I had 32 ounces, and now we have a cup and a half left. And this won't be given to them for another 2-3 days. I'll be right back. So I just store it in a container like this. Keep it in the refrigerator. And that's it with this. Well, let me tell you some of the good things you can get with your organic worm casting. My spider plants, these babies came off my spider plant, so I put them in the worm casting right here. Hi, Funny Surprises Toys. Thank you for coming by. I was just sharing with a live update my worms, and I'm sharing with you some of the benefits of the worm castings. This is some spider babies that came out, and I put them just directly into some worm castings. And what I do is I don't spray on top of them because I don't want to get the leaves wet. I go ahead and I just spray along the sides like this. And they seem to be happy. They've been sitting in there for about 3 days. And I'll show you what the mama looks like. So I would say that my spider plants is doing really well. The one thing that I learned when you buy a plant from, like, say, Home Depot, is that you need to make sure that you check the soil. There's no mites in there. That's what I found out when I didn't know any better. And you also want to find out when you touch the plant itself how set it is in the soil, because they look pretty, but they may not be grounded in the soil. So, and then you have problems. But this is my spider plant. Seems to be very happy. But the one I love most is my golden pothos. And it hangs, it hangs really nice. See all the hanging vine of the pothos? I cut them already. I put them in a jar. I'm going to show it to you if you'd like to see it. And look how full that is. But it's the same thing. When you first get it from the nursery, they're tender, so you don't want to take it out of the pot, but you want to check to make sure there's no mites or bugs on there as best you can. And then you want to make sure that you just don't overwater it. And it'll make you happy as well. I have some other plants as well. I love the hanging plants. I have the heart philodendron and the neon pothos as well. So if you're a worm farmer and you use that black gold, you know how good it is. I'll show you the pothos that I put in a jar. I don't know if I really want to put them in a pot because they're so happy. These one I put in a jar about 3 months ago, and they're just really thick. The leaves are thick, and look at all the roots. Very happy. I never change out the water. When it gets this low, it's right here. That's the lowest actually it's ever gotten. I just make sure I fill it all the way to the top of the lid, up to the brim. And that's all I do. Of course, I added a little bit of worm castings. That's the little coloring in there that you see. That's my organic worm castings. But as you can see, the roots are just shaping the inner of the jar. And it's so thick. And of course, I wanted to show you my so this is a leek that I started about 4 days ago, and look at it, it's already popping. But the thing is you can't put any worm casting in this because it'll just turn that to translucent. So powerful. So with this, you have to change the water out every 2 days, no more than 3 days. It has to have fresh water, the leeks. And these are my succulents. They fell off the plant, but look, let me show you something. This one right here, the one that's all beat up, look, it's all beat up right there. But it's all beat up, but if you look, you can see the roots. Oh, it's not coming in too good. But those little red roots on there, yeah, you can't see it very well, but there's a little red spot. That's new life coming out of there. And that's just from sitting on some worm castings. I just let them sit on the worm castings in the west window. So I think I covered everything on my worms. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for coming by. And I guess I'll go ahead and shut it down. And stay safe. Until the next time, remember, black gold is the way to go. And thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful Saturday. Bye for now.